What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Hot Takes with Matt and Hot Sauce. Here with professional boxer, 19-3 professional boxer Calvin Hot Sauce Henderson. Champ, how are you doing today? And how about you give the viewers an update? What's going on in your life?
Bless, Matt, man. I appreciate you, man. This is always fun. Always excited to get back to it again. For me, so I joined on the TBL. It's called TBL now, and we're actually starting our first fight of the season,
Let's go.
March 27th versus Miami, and we have 8 regular season fights, and then if we make the playoffs or when we make the playoffs, then we start the postseason fights too, man. So this is exciting time, ready to get back in TBL for my second season, their fourth season total. Dallas.
Yeah, your audio cut out a little bit there. Did you say you're on Team Dallas again?
Yes, sir. We're on Team Dallas again. Yes, sir.
Okay, very cool. And then how the contract, I know you were in negotiations last time. Do you have it where, hey, if a fight opportunity presents itself, you'll be able to do that?
For sure. It's the biggest thing, like I always preach about, is communication, right? As long as we communicate, we can get through anything. So it's all about, man. I think we got to the point to where they just require a 30-day heads up, which is understandable. They need 30 days to kind of get their mind wrapped around it. And I don't take fights, rarely take fights unless 30 days anyway. So it works out. So like I said, all about communication. All right, big dog.
So looking at the business side of, you said the TBL now?
Yes, TB, Team Boxing League. No.
Okay. Who funds the TBL? Do you know? Is it a Saudi Arabia thing? How does it work?
I heard initially in season one it was, but then they parted ways since then. So I'm not 100% sure. I know it's an entity, it's a big entity, and I know they have big plans for it too. And I really think they're on to something. I think they're like fine tuning and tweaking little things each season until it has its breakout season. And so I think now, if you want, it's almost like getting a heads up on something big to come, trying to get involved in something big to come. So when it does happen, you're already locked in. So that's what I think is happening. I think it has potential to be really big and change boxing, not to where everybody boxes like that, but it'd be like almost like a league people go to get their feet wet into the pros, like a pro style fight. Even like fighters, like on the way out of their pro careers, just trying to do it to kind of like coast off into the sunset, if you will. I mean, because only one round fights, 3 minutes. I've been fighting, shoot, professional for 10 years now. One round fight, I can do that shit in my sleep. You know what I mean? So it's the easy way to stay active, make a little money, keep the risk minimum. Not saying there's no risk with boxing, there's always a risk. Keep the risk minimum because you're not fighting 10 rounds. You don't have to have a 2 month training camp. So it keeps you active, keeps you busy, and keeps the risk a little bit low. And it's the team scenario. It's fun, man. It's exciting. So why not?
Yeah. And it's just good to have something on the schedule because, as we've explained before on this channel, boxing, unless you're one of the top guys, it is very sloppy. So getting a fight signed and then getting that fight to go through is
Big
a
facts.
huge challenge. So just for you, I imagine it's very nice to have things on the docket, on the schedule. Hey, on this day, I'm going to be fighting there. So I bet
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
got to
yeah.
be a game changer, right?
Yeah, for sure. Even though it's only one round, you have a heads up. You know who you're fighting. You got people. Of course, fighters fall all the time, but you have set days, like you said. And the cool part about it doesn't count against your record. The TBL has its own like category on your box rep. So
Yep.
win, lose, or whatever, like your regular boxing record and your regular boxing career, there's nothing unscathed about it. So it's a win-win in my book. Now, don't misunderstand me though, Matt. Even though it's only one round, and one round is only 3 minutes. Everybody's strong, everybody's fast, everybody comes out hot. You know what I mean? So you still got to be careful and be wise about how you use your energy. But it's cool, man. I'm fucking with it.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point you made before we dive into the boxing world right now. There's a lot of topics to go through, and yeah, Calvin and I are going to be consistent here moving forward. We're excited to talk about these things, but what's interesting that you mentioned is one, people on the tail end of their career hopping in the ring for these one round fights a little less risky than a full fight, but also the like amateurs kind of that sounds like a really good transitional period before heading to the pros is hopping in these one round fights and then Yeah, there's no headgear. It's a real boxing match, but it's only one round, and you're
Yeah.
right, it's not on your record. So that seems really interesting to have that kind of transitional period. Hopefully, this is a winner and it finds success, and this is here to stay because that makes a lot of sense to me. And then yeah, going into a lot of topics going on in the boxing world, a lot of exciting things over the next few months. But the first one is my boy Usyk fighting the world champion kickboxer Rico Verhoeven, I believe is how you pronounce his name. And that's super interesting to me. A lot of people have a problem with it. They say the champion should not be fighting kind of fun, gimmicky fights like this. But in my opinion, and I am totally biased here, but in my opinion, like Usyk went through the biggest gauntlet that the boxing world could have ever asked for. He fought Anthony Joshua twice. He fought Daniel Dubois twice. He fought Tyson Fury twice, and he beat them all. And he beat the best two guys from his era, and then he also beat the best guy in the next era, arguably in Daniel Dubois. So if he wants to fight Rico Verhoeven, I think it's actually a marketable fight. And I think it will generate some buzz. It won't be massive, but it will be a big fight, in my opinion. I don't see the harm
Yeah.
in it. And if Usyk, it depends on what his goals are, but I don't blame him at all. I would not take huge risks. He's proven
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's an aging fighter at this point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree. And you're right, man. Not only did he fight the big names, heavyweight, people forget he also fought the big names at cruiserweight. He was a guy at cruiserweight too. Like he didn't duck anybody in his way. He fought him. He made it happen. He not scared of anybody. So I think, I mean, he definitely earned. I remember back in the 90s, the early 2000s, the champ had an option. They would do a mandatory defense, then a voluntary defense. A mandatory means that you got to fight this guy. And then voluntary was like, I get to choose a softer touch just to stay active, stay busy and stuff. And so, like, who's to say Usyk has to earn that, man? I'm all for it, man. He wants to get some money and have fun and fight a kickboxing champ. By all means, man, get your paper.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that he's fight. He knocked out actually before I talk about this next fight. I loved when he knocked out Tony Bellew. That was just unbelievable. I'm not a big fan of Tony, so when he knocked him out, I thought that was a beautiful thing. Love watching
Yeah,
that
yeah,
clip. Brutal, and I think that was maybe his last fight at cruiserweight or one of his last ones. But yeah,
yeah.
dominated the cruiserweight, fought the toughest cruisers, and now heavyweight. And then he said he plans to fight the kickboxer. And then he wants to
Yep.
fight the winner of Wardley versus Dubois, and then Tyson Fury. He said that in an Instagram video
Ooh.
recently. And then he's probably going to dip out of the boxing world after that. What are your thoughts, Calvin?
I thought he was gonna give Deontay Wilder a run for his money, man. I thought he was gonna fight him. That's what I was hoping to happen. I hope Deontay was hoping Deontay Wilder did his thing, get your sore, and then he fights a winner of that. But I mean, he's a champ. He moves how he wants to move. Even though sometimes the boxers make plans, sometimes plans change. And so we'll see. Fingers crossed and see if a Usyk versus Wilder matchup happens in the 2026.
Yeah, things can change for sure. And I would like to see that fight against Wilder because we already seen him beat Dubois twice and beat Fury twice. I mean, if Wardley beats Dubois, then that's a new, fresh fight against a younger fighter once again. So it would be a risky fight. I think Usyk wins, but it would be a risk nonetheless. Um, but yeah, and moving on, talk about Tyson Fury a little bit. His fight is coming up April 11th against, and I might butcher his name, Makhmadov. Makhmadov, 6'6", 260-pound Russian. Fury is a massive favorite, minus 650. And
Ooh.
Fury hasn't fought since December of 2024. And I will say, don't sleep on those Russian guys. We've talked about this before. They're kind of built a little bit differently. Makhmadov has fought in June and October of 2025, so he doesn't have the same ring rust as Tyson Fury. But that's around the corner. Calvin, what are your thoughts on that fight?
I think Tyson Fury takes him serious and trains like he knows how to train. He should take care of business. I don't know much about the Russian guy, but I do know Tyson Fury when he fought Francis Ngannou. I don't think he took that fight as serious as he should have. The training camp, and you see he almost paid for it, man. He almost ruined the whole bag against Usyk because I think Ngannou knocked him down. Yeah, he knocked him down and
Yeah.
had him in trouble in that fight. And so, as long as Tyson Fury gets back focused and get back long term focus, not just focus on his one match. I know he's fresh out of retirement. Be focused on down the road what's he want to do because he's in and out camps, in and out of retirement. So we'll see where his focus and his mindset is at now.
You know what? Maybe I'm a sicko for thinking this, but I thought if somehow Makhmudov does beat Tyson Fury, you know what fight would be absolutely massive? But it'd be
Him versus
Usyk versus
Usyk.
Makhmudov because
I knew it.
two
I knew
countries
it.
are at war. I mean, that would be a wild fight.
Dang, that's crazy. No, you ain't lying. That's crazy. See, I didn't think about that. That's gonna be crazy.
It might be a little bit
It's
too
not kind of.
intense. I mean, that fight might be a little bit much. I think.
It remind me of
Yeah,
Rocky Four when Rocky fought what's his name? I can't think of his
Drago.
name now. Yeah, Drago.
Drago.
That's when Russia USA had the little twinge going on. You know what I mean? And then I was
Yeah.
like living in America. Yeah,
Yeah, Rocky
uh,
pretty much ended the Cold War. He ended the Cold War. So what if Usyk beats Makhmudov and then the war is over?
the war is over with, man. They put all these chips on into the fight. That's funny.
Yeah, so pivoting off of that, going to a smaller weight class, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, there's been rumors. It sounds like Romero has not signed the contract against Devin Haney yet, or Devin Haney hasn't signed, or one or the other hasn't signed the contract yet. What do you want to see? Which one would you rather watch, and what are your thoughts?
That is a great question, man. And it's funny you say that because just yesterday I was just scrolling through Facebook random, and someone did an AI video of the rematch from Garcia versus Haney. It just had Haney getting his ass whooped. I'm talking about like from corner to corner. He's falling out the ring. He's just getting whooped. Man, I know I'm gonna be the back off for saying this, but I just don't see Garcia losing. Y'all know people say he was on whatever he was on and taking shit like that.
Oxygen.
That don't make your left hook stronger. That's one thing it doesn't do. It doesn't make Devin Haney drop his right hand. So that has to be corrected first. You know what I mean? No matter what drugs you taking, it was a technical flaw in Devin Haney on how he got beat. And so if he doesn't correct that or fix that, which I think they have been working on that, then the fight gonna be the same, no matter if he's taking juice or not taking juice. You know what I mean? But I would like to see Rolly versus Haney, even though I think Haney controls him with a jab. There's footwork. Rolly doesn't have the best footwork, and he leads in with his shots, and he gets kind of over his feet a lot. But I think I would like that first. Man, that Garcia versus Haney, that would do numbers, man. They would call it the revenge fight or part two or some kind of like catchy name to kind of build that, man. If I had to be personal, I would definitely say Garcia versus Haney too.
I think. Do you think that would be the biggest fight you could make in boxing right now? The other one off the top of my head would be Usyk versus. Actually, no. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. I think that would be the biggest one you can make if Fury wins and Joshua has a tune-up before he
Yeah,
comes back. What do you think the biggest fight is to make right now?
man, that's crazy. What if you put them both together? You do Usyk for the main. We have Garcia versus Haney two for the co-main event, man. That shit was doing numbers, man. I talking about both fights are huge. Both fights are main event fights. Don't understand me, but that's just crazy, man. I think Garcia versus Haney just because of the history of what happened in the first fight would be more of an appeal if you had to choose one or the other. Because Joshua versus Usyk, it just
Fury.
wait. When you said Joshua versus Fury, excuse me,
Fury, yeah.
that's just almost like a fever dream. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, if
Yeah.
they were fall, this might happen. This might happen. But we know what's gonna happen to Garcia versus Haney too. You know what I mean? He kind of want to see what's gonna happen again. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Unless Ryan Garcia shows up completely drained and really skinny, I think Haney's in for a rough night. I think it'll be more of the same.
yeah,
And I think I
yeah,
mispronounced it. Ostarine. Ostarine was the substance that
yeah.
Garcia
Okay, okay, okay.
was testing positive for. And then
Vaseline.
and then, okay, so moving on, and this might be our last topic for today's show, but we have Jake Paul just gave an update, and it seems like that video where he talked about having a surgery where he had some AI videos mixed in with some real pictures and videos turned out to be true. He said, I got my second surgery recently, and the doctor said it'll be 4, 5, 6 months to even be able to spar to see how the bone is healing. So that
Shit.
puts us maybe late this year or early next year for a fight. And then he also said, definitely at cruiserweight is where he wants to fight. Joshua's punches hurt way more than people in my weight class. That's where I'm best at for sure, and where I want to continue to climb the rankings and make some statements. I'll react to that first is I think it's very unfortunate for Jake right now he's playing a game of catch up because he started so late in the boxing world. He's 29 now. I think he started when he was about 20, 21, got kind of serious about 22 years old. And he's kind of hitting his peak right now where he has some years in the ring. His body's getting stronger. And this is just a crucial point where he could be getting better right now. And the fact that he's going to have about a year off in the ring, that really impedes his potential. I'm more bullish on Jake than the 99% of people. I think he's better than most people give him credit for. But I
Yeah.
really think this hurts him big time. I think he wanted to be done boxing by 2028. I think he wanted to be retired
Mm.
by then. He didn't want to take too much damage. But if he wants, and I think he will come back, and I think has that drive where he wants to make some statements in the world of boxing, but I think this really, really hurts him. This stunts his growth significantly, and we don't know what it'll do to him mentally.
That's real. No, that's definitely real, man. It sucks that you say you can't spar, but there's still a lot of work that can be done without sparring. It really just goes back to his trainers and his training regimen and how well of a teacher they are. You know what I mean? Because if you kind of not that good of a teacher because you just got the eye for boxing, then yeah, you gonna have your fighter spar and kind of tweak what's going on while you spar. If you're a real good teacher of the sport, you can break down the simulated situations with the pad work or with the mitt work or with paddles and stuff. And so you have to be a very good teacher to be able to break things down in that time period where you can't really get hit. It really just goes back, like I said, to his training, to his trainers, and are they able to give him the same looks without the impact of him getting hit in the mouth and shit.
So you had a serious eye injury, probably at a similar age to where Jake is right now. Calvin, if you had a phone call with Jake, what would be your advice for him moving forward?
And it's crazy, man. You say that so because I couldn't have impact either. I couldn't even have somebody look at my eye too hard, man. It was that's how delicate it was and shit. And so you have to bite down and find and get creative with new ways to keep getting your craft fine tuned. And just because you can't get hit doesn't mean you can't train on your skill set. So like get your jab to where your jab is like a piston. Get your footwork to where your footwork is not even you're not thinking twice about it. So there's certain aspect you have to lock in on certain things. When my eye was going through what it was going through, I couldn't really lift too heavy but I still lifted lightweight, more like rubber bands, where I can strengthen up the ligaments and the tendons and my rotator cuff of my shoulders to absorb impact. So we got to get, like I said, you got to get creative with your trainer to where you're not sit there getting stagnant, getting fat, actually getting worse. I didn't have like a lot of cats in 2020. I had zero fights in 2021 because of my eye, two because of the COVID year. But as soon as we came back hot in 2021, I mean instantly first fight back, second round stoppage. So there's a way you can keep getting sharp without getting impact. And that's what I would tell him. He would have called me today. You got to get creative in your training, really lock in and fine tune little small parts about throwing your punch, about bringing your hand back, about position this way. It's getting really nerdy on shit like that. It's boring, but it's necessary.
That's interesting. That's really interesting advice. I don't know if it was Larry Bird in the world of basketball, but I believe there was like a story of someone who broke his arm or wrist way back in the day, and they just worked on their left hand like a madman, and they made the most of the situation. And that's similar. And well, the way you're saying it, maybe it doesn't make me think he's as doomed in the sense of hitting his goals as
Yeah,
I thought, because he is from all the reports a really, really hard worker. And if he could
yeah,
just be obsessive over the small details, maybe this could actually benefit him versus trying to get all that experience. Because what I'm talking about is he's got a massive experience gap. And what he's been trying to do is spar a shit ton to catch up
yeah,
for lost time. But if he can use this time as an opportunity to fine tune the small things in the boxing game, the footwork, the technique, maybe it could be a
yeah.
positive for him. Who knows? Who
Yeah,
knows?
that's the
So
biggest
that's
thing.
really
It
interesting.
goes back to like I said, you gotta have more than just a trainer. You need to have more than just a guy with a clipboard and a whistle. You know what I mean? You gotta have a guy that's a teacher who can break down the technique, break down the fundamental, break down the situations, break down. All right, what do you do? This happened because boxing. I mean, if I'm being just in a nutshell, it's a chess match. So break down the opening moves, break down the traps, break down everything that could happen in a fight and the fighter has to really dive into that and be fully absorbed in that for it to work. But you have a good teacher, it's hard not to do that.
No, that's really interesting. And one more topic while we're on Jake is he had a little back and forth with Francis Ngannou. Ngannou's going to be fighting on his MMA card that he's promoting with Netflix, and Ngannou's going to be in the co-main event. And they went a little bit back and forth. I I think that's actually an interesting fight, and it would sell. But I would definitely advise him not to do it because if he wants to deploy the same strategy he did against Anthony Joshua, it won't work out well for him. He doesn't have the gas tank to be going all around the ring like he's Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah. Definitely. I heard, man, apparently Francis Ngannou may punch harder than Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? And just he don't have the accuracy or the understanding of how to set it up like AJ does. But I think Jake, he's saying right by staying in cruiserweight, going back down to cruiserweight, heavyweight. If you find the right heavyweight, that's the thing about boxing. Like you can go up and down weight classes with your skills if you're skillful, as long as you got the right guy in front of you. When you get to a weight class where the guys actually belong to that weight class with the skills and the weight advantage, bad news. You know what I mean? Not saying that's Suganu, but definitely that was Anthony Joshua. Like he's not just heavy to be heavy. He's not 250 pounds of inconvenience. You know what I mean? He actually has skill and real shit to go with it.
Francis Ngannou, there's a 260-pound weight limit in the UFC, but my gosh, he's heavier than Joshua for sure. I don't know how much he weighed in. I'm going to look that up real quickly. Francis Ngannou weight versus Anthony Joshua because it was heavy. It was very heavy. 272 pounds, and he's like 6'4", 6'5". I mean, that just no, thank you. That's just the freak of nature. So
And Anthony Joshua knocked out a guy that weighed 274 pounds. And and Jake Paul signed up to fight that. You know what I mean? This guy has a punching power to knock out a guy that's 275 pounds. What do you think he'll do to you, man? Shit.
And last topic, Dana White, Eddie Hearn. Who knows if they're working us or not, or if the beef is real? But they've been going at it a little bit, and there's a rumor that they want. Dana's like, yeah, I'll box him, and Dana. The tail of the tape. Dana's 5'11", 56 years old. Eddie Hearn, 6'5", 46. Neither of them have a pro fight. Eddie Hearn does have a few amateur fights, I believe. He opens as a minus 300 favorite. And Dana White, I will say, he also has hands. He does have hands on him. There's videos of him sparring, and he was rumored to fight Tito Ortiz, who he did not get along with in the UFC. And Tito didn't show up, but Dana's got hands. I'm going to give the edge to the guy who's 6 inches taller and 10 years younger. But in a world where these two fight, Calvin, who are you taking?
I just can't even imagine seeing this fight. Eddie Hearn is so proper and it's so well buttoned up, right? You know what I mean? I just don't see him getting there and mixing up with anybody. Not saying he can't fight. So don't Eddie Hearn don't come for me saying that you whoop my ass. I'm just saying I just can't picture you get into the ring and throwing hands. I can't even entertain or even say my pick. I'm gonna just say I hope they duke it out and they duke it out on a promotional value and they put their fighters against each other. Like Dana White has his Zuffa fighters versus Dana White matchroom fighters and let them duke it out and whoever wins wins. Not them actually ain't doing it.
They should box at the White House card in MMA, but they should do a boxing match in the octagon at the White House card. That would be lit. But I think the rivalry is good for boxing, though. I do think bigger picture, more serious. I think it's good. The more headlines in the world of boxing, the better. And there's a lot of headlines right now. I believe boxing's in a really good spot, and I actually believe MMA is not in a great spot because they have their issues. Grapplers from Russia are taking over the sport. No one really likes to watch them. It's their boring fights, and all their biggest stars are barely fighting or out of the sport at this time with their age. So boxing is in a pretty good spot. Wouldn't you agree?
You know what's crazy about that? Yeah, I do agree. But what's funny, I know you gotta get out of here. The back in the 80s and the 90s, boxing promoters kept the Eastern European fighters out of the spotlight because of that exact same reason. They have an awkward style and will give American fighters sometimes, not all the time, trouble. You know what I mean? And so they will win fights just because it's weird. The style is off, and they can win fights. So the promoters and the people who may be in the head positions just kept them out of boxing. You know what I mean? But then Triple G come, and then Kovalev come, where they're actually promoting them and pushing them. Eastern European fighters are anything new in boxing. They just finally been accepted for their weird styles. The same thing in MMA. I don't think necessarily there's nothing new. They're just getting there just doing. People, I guess, in the MMA world, they don't like it so much. But it is what it is.
Yes, sir. And this was a great episode of Hot Takes with Matt and Calvin Hot Sauce Henderson, 19-3 pro boxer. We'll be back again soon. Punch the subscribe button and stay tuned.